Welcome to One on One, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Lee Adams, and today we have Upper St. Clair School District in the house. We have Upper St. Clair Athletics in the house. We have the Upper St. Clair Girls Varsity Basketball team that won the WPIAL championship, and they were the finalists in the state. Such a great year. We have their coach, we have their players. I'm really excited to have them in with us because, you know, I love high school basketball. I always have. And our first guest today is the head coach, the winning WPL championship coach of the Upper St. Clair Girls Varsity Basketball team this year, Mr. Pete Serio. Pete, it's great to have you here.
Well, thank you for having us, Lee. It's great to be here.
Well, thanks for coming. So talk to me about the ingredients of this team and what made them go as far as they went.
Some of these girls have been together since they were in 5th grade, playing basketball all year long, AAU and travel. What I really found out this year was that the chemistry ended up being what really put us over the top. Our chemistry the last 6 weeks of the season was just incredible. And I truly believe that's why we went as far as we did, and that's why we did that's why we accomplished what we ended up doing.
You know, so there's people will be watching this, and they're maybe not as the inside basketball. I played high school basketball at Penn Hills. We're the second largest school district in the state. So we played high level basketball. You're playing high level 6A basketball. So when someone's watching this and you say chemistry, can you let someone that be watching this know what that means with a basketball team and a girls basketball team? What does chemistry mean?
Well, chemistry means, first of all, it's not necessarily being best friends or always getting along. But chemistry has to do with having the same goal and then putting your selfish needs aside and trying to accomplish that goal. The way that, at the end of the year, the way we passed the basketball was so unselfish, and the way they rooted for each other when someone else did something well. Sure, did we have times when we may not have, but you can't put 15 girls together and expect there not to be some kind of conflict every once in a while or drama. But during that last 6 weeks, 2 months of the season, it was all put aside, and they came together, and you could see it in practices, and just got along and rooted for each other, and they were there for each other when it mattered the most.
Great. You've been coaching girls for how long?
21 years.
And so you played boys basketball, I played boys basketball. What's the challenge of coaching girls at this level?
Well, girls are actually, they listen to everything you say. They do. They hear it, and they don't forget it. So if you're tougher on girls sometimes, it's not that they're not tough enough, but they do remember what you say. But girls, I don't know. I think they're more genuine. I don't know that they're as, when they're in the gym and they're together, I just think they're more genuine at times. Boys are all rah, rah, rah and whatever. But, girls, they like being a part of the team. They like being a part of something bigger than themselves. And there's not much difference in competitive nature. My girls are really competitive. I mean, if I said they weren't, I'd be getting some lip back. I can tell you that. But boys are not more competitive than these girls anyway. And they work hard and they put their time in, and they have a ball in their hands 11, 12 months out of the season. They put the time in, and they're no different, Lee. They're no different. An athlete is an athlete. A competitor is a competitor, whether it's a boy or a girl.
But, when I played, I know it was the dark ages. I understand that. But when I played, our coach screamed at us, screamed at the top of his lungs for a large period of time. So I'm guessing you can't do that with girls.
Well, you can't do that with boys. You're going to lose them anyway. Yeah. You can't scream all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't, because then it becomes noise.
Yeah.
So if you pick and choose when you yell or when you you demand something from them, they're going to listen, whether it's a boy or a girl. But if you're constantly yelling at them every single day, they're just going to tune you out. I don't care who it is.
Yeah. So you've been coaching for quite some time, and at St. Clair for how long?
11 years.
11 years. So what would people be surprised to know about what it's like to be you?
I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I mean,
as he looks at the girls,
as I look at my
audience.
players, yes. No, I really am very fortunate.
Good.
Nothing
I like that.
Nothing worth doing doesn't have its negative or its tough times. Nothing. Are there times when it was a struggle? Sure, it was a struggle, but it was all worth it. And if you expect to be coaching in this day and age, it doesn't even matter. 20 years ago, if you expect everything to be just perfect, and it's just not going to, you're delusional. It's just not going to be. But that's what makes it so special. Is you got to get over the conflicts, and you got to get over the bad times, and develop the good times. So it's no different than it was before.
But I used to say, our coach yelled and yelled and yelled at me. And one of the things that I needed as a player is I needed a little bit of love every once in a while, and he just didn't give it. And so it hurt me confidence-wise, and I ended up not being exactly the player I could have been. So each girl that you have, they're different human beings. So do you try to coach them differently? What do you do with that?
I think I do coach them a little differently, individually, not as a whole. Like I wouldn't, if I speak to one of them by themselves, that may be different than I speak to somebody else. I mean, one girl you can rip into, another girl you can demand. But I think the best thing to do sometimes is just say, hey, we need your help. We need you to do this. You're at your best when you're doing this. This team needs you. And I was never a yeller. I'll yell every once in a while. And I was always taught, even as a teacher, that, again, if you only yell every once in a while, they're going to hear what you're saying. You yell all the time, they're not going to hear it.
That's great advice. I never heard it put that way. That's really good. So have you coached girls that needed to be coached hard?
I think all girls need to be coached hard. To me, it's not boy or girl. They all need to be coached hard. You know what, Lee? They want to be coached hard. They don't want anything give. They demand it. These girls are too competitive. They don't want me to, pat them on the back all the time. Did I? Sure. But there were times, I think I patted them on the back more when they were struggling than when they were doing great. So, I don't know. It's just, that's the way I am.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting because, I go so far back at the beginning of Title IX, and the girls that we have in here today, they don't even probably understand. They probably read about it, but girls didn't have these opportunities in the 70s even. And so now girls' opportunities have just flourished like flowers blooming, which I think is, Title IX was one of the best pieces of legislation this country has ever enacted to give these girls all this opportunity. And now look at college girls basketball is just off the charts. So I think it's wonderful. But what took you to coaching girls? Because, there wasn't girls back in the day. How did your journey get you to girls?
I originally was coaching boys. I started out in the Catholic League, coaching boys. And then Susie was at Oakland Catholic, and I just went and was her assistant. And we won the state championship, and the following year I got the job at Canevin. The girls' job opened up, and I got that job. And that's how it all started.
Interesting. So, one of the real challenges as a basketball coach is there's only 5 kids on the floor, and you got 15, did you say? So we can't all play. And so playing time. And so how do you parse that?
Listen, I can answer that question 2 ways. First way that I've learned is you can't please everybody. There's absolutely no way you can please everybody. No coach has ever pleased everybody. But you gotta, there's 32 minutes in a game times 5 is 160 minutes, right? Yeah, 160 minutes. So your best players are going to play 29, 30 minutes. And if you have 2 or 3 best players, and then you got, we had 7 or 8 girls we played. And that was all I could play, especially come playoff time. And even come playoff time, there were times when, the girl was hot, I wasn't taking her off the floor unless she couldn't physically do it. And, Riley probably averaged 31 minutes a game. But you're going to put your best players on the floor. If you're not trying to win, the girls are going to know that, your players are going to know that. And it's not easy. There's no way to do it, Lee. If you ever found out, you could make a lot of money by writing a book. But there's no way to please everybody. And if you want to win, you have to play your best players. And playoff time to me, playoff time is a lot different. As long as you can run, you're on the floor.
So, you have talent here, obviously, and you have to make sometimes maybe some harder decisions on who's getting more playing time than others. Who do you have to bounce all this stuff off of?
Susie used to bounce it off of me. No, I'm only kidding. No, having Susie next to me was just, it was an Encyclopedia Britannica of basketball. So,
McConnell's.
Yeah.
First.
But we're kind of the same. If I put Grace in the game and Grace is hot, Grace isn't coming off the floor.
Yeah.
If you're playing well, you're going to stay on the floor. If you're not, somebody else is going to get a chance. Yeah. It's just the way, it's the way it should be.
Yeah.
It may not be the most popular way, but it's the way it should be.
Yeah, and then speaking of that, I think one of the biggest challenges for high school, I love high school basketball because you go to a game and you're right on the action. You're right there. You can hear it, you can see it, and I love it. But the problem is with only 5 kids on the floor and only so much playing time, and these parents love their kids so much that they want to see them play, but some of them don't play. How do you handle parents?
Again, if you could tell me how, you could write a book.
What do you do?
At the end of the day, you almost have to ignore them. And if you let them get to you, then you're choosing to let them get to you. That outside noise can't make my decisions for me. I have to do what's best for the girls and what's best for the team. And like I said, there's only 160 minutes to play. Normally in the beginning of the season, I will tell certain girls when they make the team that what their role is going to be. I think I've learned through the years that, being up front in the beginning is the best thing you can do, even though it's a hard situation. But if you tell a girl that, I hope you need to be happy to be on the team and be a part of the team, and you work hard in practice and you do your job in practice, but that's probably going to be your role. And if you ever get into the game, give it your best, and we'll see what happens. But I think being up front with the kids, especially the ones that may not get any playing time or get, a lot of playing time, you have to be honest with them. But Lee, there's no easy way. It's a struggle all the time. Yeah. It's something I've struggled with my whole life because, as a middle school teacher, I didn't like to disappoint or see kids unhappy, but being a part of the team, and you need 12 girls on a team. We can't win with these 6 or these 5 kids. We have to have kids in practice who are challenging them, who are working hard. So it is a team, although some people look at it like, only these girls played and I didn't get to play. But you know what? At the end of the day, athletics is about commitment, discipline, and teamwork. So when you go to college or you get a job or you get married, you have to be committed. You have to have discipline not to be a jerk in what you're doing in your life. And you just have to be able to work with others, especially at a job. So if you learn those things in athletic, and you learn those things by being part of a team. And whether they realize it or not, they have learned that. And sometimes the parents, maybe they don't get what their kids are actually, they don't understand what good things their kids are learning from being on the team. They're only looking at the minutes that they're playing, right. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. And but they love their kids, and that's where it's
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I got angry too at times when my kids were playing.
Yeah. So
No, it's very understandable.
Yeah, but you're in a tough spot, and it's just hard. But that's why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So, Pete, Upper St. Clair has a pretty gosh darn great reputation for girls varsity basketball. I mean, a pretty great tradition. And so what kind of pressures did you feel coaching at this level at this school?
Lee, all the pressure I felt was self-imposed. This administration has had my back and given me their support since day one. And they never wavered from that. They never made me feel like I didn't have their support. So I'm going to have to tell you that I never had any pressure from the school district or from that. Now, I think we all as coaches have parental pressure or self-imposed pressure, but I didn't feel any from the administration at all.
Yeah,
I was lucky.
That's wonderful. And so Susie was your assistant?
Yes.
And did you have any other assistants?
We had Kristen Stash,
Okay.
who's also a teacher in the district. We had Emily Ondo, who used to be our athletic trainer. She's now gone back and she's become a nurse. And we also had Ashley Zembo, used to play here, but she was a volunteer with her.
So what were their roles with you?
Stash was our JV coach. Emily would go back and forth and with varsity players and JV. And Ashley usually was with the JV team when she was here. Yeah.
And what was your communication like with them when you're trying to make decisions? Was it mostly Susie with the varsity situation, or do you take input? What was your communications with your assistants?
Not necessarily during the game, because Susie would be sitting right next to me, but during practices or during non-practice times when we were just standing around. No, I would get their input and find out. I mean, they're really good at letting me know the temperature of the team and what's going on. But, we would talk more during practices or pregame or off time than we actually would during the game.
Gotcha. Now, you're always asking your players to get better. You're asking them to work and get better. So how does a high school basketball coach get better?
Well, I would say it's not just watching film. It's actually like researching different plays, reading books. I used to read Mike Krzyzewski's books all the time. I probably read the Good for Your Heart. I think that's what it was called. But I've read it probably 4 or 5 times. I just think you can't become stagnant. And once you become stagnant, it's time to go. You still have to have that passion to want to learn and get better and talk to other coaches and like I could throw stuff off of Susie and I could throw stuff off of Tim and Kathy and Danny Holzer. So, I mean, those are people that you got to keep learning.
So you had some good sounding boards.
Or you watch college basketball games and you watch what they're doing.
Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah. So let's say that a girl walks into Upper St. Clair High School and they want to play varsity basketball. So what would you hope that they could do when they walked in the door?
Dunk.
That was so different than what Danny Holzer said, but I didn't expect you to say that.
I would hope that they can handle the basketball. They don't necessarily have to be the best shooter, but they have to handle the basketball and they have to be committed when they walk in the door. They have to work hard. I've always said it, if you can handle the basketball, you'll play. Especially when it's a close game or your team's winning, you're going to be in the game, because if you can handle it and you don't turn it over, you're going to play. You don't necessarily have to be the best shooter.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of what I was thinking you were going to do. And when I asked Danny Holzer that question, you know what he said? To be a good teammate, which I didn't expect him to say that. I thought he was going to handle the basketball, just like you said. That's what I was thinking. But he's like, I want someone to be able to be a good teammate. And that was interesting to hear that, because you guys, you've both been coaching a long time, and as your evolutions as a coach. And speaking of that, how do you think you have evolved as a coach? over the years? Let's think back when you started. First of all, where were your stops? Where were your train stops along the way? You started where? Boom, boom, boom. And how did you get here? What were your train stops?
Okay, like I said, I started with Susie at Oakland Catholic.
Okay.
And then I became the head coach at Canevin. And I was there for 4 years and got the head coaching job at Mount Lebanon. And I was there for 4 years. And then we moved to Minnesota. And Susie was coaching in the WNBA. And I coached a little bit in Chaska, Minnesota, but it was just as an assistant. And then came back home and took the Peters job for 1 year because there was no way I was going to coach against my own daughter. I told them that, but they still wanted me for the 1 year, so I took it for 1 year. And then I took time off so I could watch my kids play. And then I got this job 11 years ago.
Interesting. But with that, you started Oakland Catholic. Now you're retiring, right?
Yes.
And on top, you're retiring as a WPIAL champion and a state finalist. So how do you think you've evolved from that Oakland Catholic coach to this Upper St. Clair varsity championship team? How do you think you've evolved?
Well, I just think like anything in life, you learn through your experiences, and you probably learn more from the things that didn't work as opposed to the things that did work. I've learned what hasn't worked over the years and tried to do those things better. But just handling kids differently, what to expect, what to demand. I mean, obviously we all do different offenses, different defenses, but philosophies sometimes have to change. I always wondered why some coaches tried to stick their players into the philosophy that they liked instead of figuring out what was best for their players in terms of, maybe I love to run and gun and play full court man-to-man defense, but if my personnel can't do that or that's not their best, I want to put them in the best place they can to be successful. So I've learned that over the years too. So sometimes you have a post-oriented offense, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're guard-oriented, sometimes you're not. But I do believe you have to change with your personnel.
Absolutely. How many months of the year is it to be a high school basketball coach these days?
Well, if you want to be good, it's probably about 11.
Really? Wow. Really demanding.
It is. I mean, and people don't understand the commitment that these coaches make. The film that they watch during the year, how it consumes us when we try to fall asleep or wake up, especially when you don't have a good night or you have a big game coming up. How do you handle personalities, things that go on throughout the year that you have to put fires out or whatever. And it's all consuming. And then season's over and you're already planning for next year and you're having spring workouts or open gyms, or you're having a camp, or you're having summer leagues or fall leagues, and then you're starting open gym up in December. And what these girls do, especially the ones that only play basketball, it's all consuming for them too. And sometimes I just think, my whole career, I do not want to see you from the middle of July till September. I always think they need a break. Sometimes kids don't miss basketball. I think it's important if they miss it every once in a while. And 6 weeks off is, I don't want to see you. I don't want to. And if it's up to me, you wouldn't even put a ball in your hand. Just miss the game.
Yeah.
But it's an 11-month-a-year job. If you want to do it the right way now. Yeah. Keep up with the Joneses League.
Yeah, man. It's just changed over the years. It was never like that demanding, but now it is to be successful. And so the other thing that I think is really a hard thing as a coach is to get your players to play really hard and be accountable for their effort, but also make sure they don't lose their confidence. So you're riding them and you want effort, but you don't want them to lose confidence. So how do you walk that fine line, Pete?
Well, you have to know your players. And I've always believed if someone's having a bad night, but you know how good they've been or what they can do, you keep letting them know. Like I know I've said multiple times, one of my players misses 4 or 5 shots in a row. And I'll tell them, you're open, you keep shooting. If you don't shoot an open shot, I'm taking you out of the game. So I just, they need to know that I have their back, and I hope they did. But, you know, Susie's, and this was like, you know, if you're the 8th player on the bench or you're the one who gets in and you maybe only play 5 minutes, if you go in and you make a turnover or 2, miss a shot, make a turnover, you're probably coming out. But if one of my best players makes a turnover or misses a shot, I'm not, it's just you coach.
So you have a shorter leash for some.
There you go. Absolutely. So
But those kids earned that longer leash.
they've earned it because, yes, they've proven that they're better.
their production.
Yeah. They're proving what they can do.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, and there's many a times where, I don't know, let's just say Meredith has missed 6 threes in a row. She's mad at me now. But she makes the next one, or she makes the next one after that. I'm not taking her out of the game because she missed a shot. I'm just not.
Yeah, I love that. I wish I was coached that way. So who's your big influences on you to be the person that you are and to be the coach that you are?
Well, I would say my parents have a lot to do with the person that I am. That's for sure. My dad was tough, but my mom was the kindest woman in the world. You know, I don't know, maybe my philosophy, and I've said this before, and I know I said it at the banquet, but Dr. Pope, if I ever had a hero in my life, it was Dr. Pope. He's the guy who hired me, and I used to love to talk to him. And his philosophy was, and I will never forget it, is when you have a decision that needs to be made, it should be what's best for the kids, not what's best for you. So I've never forgotten that. That's one thing he's taught me. I don't know if you know this. He was our superintendent here in St. Clair for many, many, many years.
What's his name again?
Dr. William Pope.
Okay. And he taught you that when?
When I first started teaching.
At?
Here at St. Clair.
Okay.
But then the basketball stuff is just from my family. Like I said, I mean, I got 3 college coaches, 4 or 5 high school coaches. You know, our family get-togethers, we have paper out and we're drawing up plays and we're talking to each other. And so there's a lot of sounding boards that we have about basketball, but all those things.
So you wanted to retire a year before this, didn't you?
I did.
So what happened?
First of all, I just thought it was time. But some of the girls asked me to come back, and no question, I have said it before, so I'll say it again. Riley promised me we would win a Whitfield championship if I came back.
She did.
She did.
That's quite a promise.
It is quite a promise.
And she backed it up.
She backed it up. And I can tell you when we won the Whitfield championship and she came over and hugged me, she looked me in the eye and she said, "I told you we would win."
Oh, that's got to be a sweet moment to remember.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
That's wonderful.
I'm really happy they asked me back. These girls right here will hold a special place in my heart for the rest of my life. I was very fortunate and lucky and blessed that I came back for this last year. So
Turned out really good for you.
it turned out fabulous.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
So I always say that within a relationship, whether it be a friend, a partner, a coworker, or an organization, a culture develops. And so you, as the leader, create the culture. So what culture have you tried to develop or have developed with your teams?
Well, that's a tough question. I don't know that I necessarily have a book that says, "Pete, this is how you're going to build the culture." You know, I talk about everybody's. I mean, just because you don't play doesn't mean I don't like you or respect you as much as I like the best player on the team. I hope they know that. I try to be honest with them. I try to have a relationship with every one of them. But, you know, we talk about family. I know at one point they came up with the slogan, I think, going into the Whitfield semis, like, if I'm remembering correctly, about one heart and just coming together as one. But the players on your team help you build the culture too, and how they react and how they've been brought up and what their what their character is like. I mean, I'm only going to be me, and that's all I can be. I'm not going to change this way or that way. So sometimes I might be a little tough. Most days I'm just putting them through what we're supposed to put through and asking them and counting on their character to do what they're supposed to do at the time they're supposed to do it. These girls are all pretty self-motivated. I mean, their grades speak for that, what they do. And I mean, part of coaching them is very easy because they're already committed to being successful. I don't have to push them to be successful. They're going to do that anyway.
It's nice. What's, you've coached for decades now. What was in it for you? What was in it for you to coach?
I know it sounds cliche, but it was never about winning for me. It was always about the relationships. And I know these girls will, if you ask them, they'll tell you what I said maybe when they were freshmen, or I know they'll remember it, was that it was never about me getting the gold medal around my neck. And it really wasn't. It was, I've always told them, when I put the medal around your neck, it's your smile I want to see, not mine. And watching the pictures and the video of them when we won it and how happy they were and jumping around, that's all I've ever wanted, was for them. I'm just a small part. I'm not the one putting the ball in the hoop. I'm not the one playing defense or getting rebounds. It's them.
So you've lived in St. Clair, and your kids went to St. Clair,
I've
right?
taught these kids when they were in middle school.
So what's the St. Clair community like that people don't know? What's it like to live here and to work here like you do?
Well, I think I'm going to tell you why I moved my family here.
Okay.
Okay? We moved here because I grew up in the city. So, you gauge your success on those around you, right? On who your peers are at the time. So I was pretty successful growing up in Brookline, becoming a teacher. But I moved my kids here because if you want to live in St. Clair or Mount Lebanon or North Allegheny or Peters Township, your peers are all successful. They're all going to colleges. They're all getting degrees. They're all having good jobs. And living in St. Clair is just like living in all those other places. It's just boundaries that separate us, but it's all the same.
Yeah. Who has been your biggest rival coaching at St. Clair?
Oh, North Allegheny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, North Allegheny.
So that game had extra meaning to you.
It did, but every year we played. Although it sounds like I'm not even. We've had some injuries, Lee, that stopped us from having more championships. But that's just the way it happens in life. We went through 5 straight years of a catastrophic injury to one of our best players. And it's the way the ball bounces sometimes. And I actually thought it was a black cloud, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to retire. Because Riley got hurt her junior year, and I was just thinking it was me. I'm a karma guy, and I just thought there's got to be something wrong every year. I think we may have won it last year if Riley didn't get hurt. I mean, in 23, 24. But she did. And sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. But through all that adversity, I think that's why this year was so special for us, especially for me. It was.
What a great way to go out. So one last question for you, Pete. What are you thankful for?
I really am thankful that I was lucky enough to get to know all the players that I've had over the last 20 years. Some I'm still close to, some maybe not, but I think if I saw them, they'd say hello to me. It's always nice to see players that I've coached. And I was truly blessed to be here in St. Clair and have the support that I did. And like I told you before we went on air, I'll never forget these girls. They'll have a place in my heart the rest of my life.
Well, you're retiring on top, Pete.
I am. I'm very lucky.
That must feel pretty good.
It does.
Well, I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful way to go out. And I know you're a good guy because I know many of the people that you've been involved with coaching-wise, and they tell me how nice it is to deal with you. And so you have a really great reputation. And,
Thank you. I'm sure my mother and father would be more proud of that than anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. I mean, I know a lot of people that you coached around, and there's a lot of people have a lot of really nice things to say about you.
Thank you.
So I'm just so glad you could come here and spend some time with us.
Thank you. But I'm looking forward to these kids getting up here.
Oh, you think they got a few things to say?
Oh, I think they're going to say some great things.
Yeah.
They're all well-spoken.
Yeah.
They're all funny. And they're all really accomplished young women.
And I want to wish you the best on whatever you're on to with the next chapter of your life.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. Also joining us today are two seniors from this WPIAL Championship Girls Basketball team at Upper St. Clair. We have Grace Howe. Grace, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
and Liv Terlecki. Liv, it's great to have you too.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you guys. So, what do you think is one of the biggest? Forget basketball. What's some of the biggest challenges you face in school at this school? Because this school's no joke, is it?
No.
So, when did you come? Well, you don't have a Pittsburgh accent. No. So, what's your accent?
I'm from England.
And what brought you here? How old were you?
I moved here when I was 11.
11.
Yes.
So was it a hard culture change for you?
Yeah, for sure. My family moved over and I started here in 6th grade, and it was definitely like a culture shock. And
in what way? Can you explain that?
Especially for sports, if we're talking about basketball, sports is definitely more serious over here. And me and my whole family is interested in basketball and football and soccer, and everything's more competitive over here.
Over here?
Yes, for sure.
But isn't soccer very competitive over there?
For boys, but not so much for girls.
You call it football.
Yes.
We call it soccer. It's okay. It's okay. So you got here and it was a bit of a culture shock for you. So how did you think was it hard for you to adjust?
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment at first. Making new friends, especially going into middle school when everyone already had their set friend groups, and everyone moved from elementary school together, and I was the odd one out, but that's where the accent was definitely helpful.
You stood out a little bit.
Yeah, it stood out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone was really nice. Yeah.
It took a little while.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, sure. So Grace, Liv, how hard is it to go to this school? How hard is this school?
It's definitely an intense school from what I've heard from other schools in the area. We definitely have vigorous academics, I would say. And but a lot of people get to go in late and leave early throughout the day, but when we're in school, we're definitely learning a lot, and it's a lot.
So do you think it's hard?
I do think it's hard at points, certain classes.
Did you have to work hard?
Yes, for sure.
To get good grades?
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think it's prepared you for college?
I do. Some classes more than others, for sure.
So Grace, how hard was the academics compared to England?
I had a different experience, I think. In middle school, I found that in England, my school was a lot harder, and I was more, not advanced, but the curriculum is different in England, in the younger ages, because we start school a year earlier. So I was actually a year ahead of everyone else. But when we came to high school, that's where the school system here, and my family will say the same thing, is so amazing, especially in Upper St. Clair, with the IB system and all the AP classes they offer, and the gifted program. It was so amazing, and they challenge us so much, and the classes here are so engaging, and you can pack your schedule with as many hard classes as you want to keep you busy. And I know for me as well in high school, I made sure to take lots of college classes to prepare myself for like college to try and challenge myself.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Liv, besides the championship, like what stands out for you to play for this team?
I would say definitely how close we are off the court. Like we would hang out at each other's houses after games. We would go to dinner together. We would always just make sure to include everyone, and I think that really helped us on the court as well because we were so close. And I also think the practices definitely prepared us very well for the games that we were challenged with.
Yeah, yeah. So, Grace, how about you? What, beside the championship, what did you think about playing for this team?
Yeah, I agree with Liv that we're all such a close group of friends this year in particular. The chemistry we had off the court really helped us on the court. We'd all hang out after practice, before practice in the locker room, and that definitely showed this year, especially in like the postseason in playoffs.
What's the hard moments playing for this team and trying to win a championship? What are the hard moments that you face as you're going through a season like this?
I definitely think the stretches of practices that we have without having a game can be challenging. It can be hard to stay focused sometimes because we just will have like 4 or 5 days in a row where we're just practicing and we're not really playing in the game and we're trying to prepare for like a bigger game, and I think people can definitely get distracted during that, so I would say that's probably very challenging.
What was hard for you, Grace?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also just like the intensity of the schedules and not having weekends off and like missing things with your friends. It's like important to stay focused on the season and like our like goal of winning.
Yeah. So, Liv, what comes easy to you in sports or not in school? Let's start in school. What comes easy to you in school?
Subject-wise, I would say English. That's definitely my strongest
So you
class.
can write?
I can read and write very well, yes.
Okay, so that comes easy.
Yes.
How about you in school?
I've always been very like math oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that comes easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But okay, how about basketball? Now you're on the basketball court, you're playing 6A basketball against really great competition. What comes easy to you on a basketball court?
I would say my defense for sure. I think that's my strongest point in the game.
What's good about it?
Well, I usually guard the other team's best girl, so.
That tells you right there.
Yeah.
If you got the best girl, you're one of the best, right? Defender. And how do you lock in? How do you stop people?
I just try to stay focused on them. I try to watch a lot of film before so I know like the moves that they're about to make, or so I can kind of predict what they're about to do.
So you're there when they're ready, or they're going and you're there.
Yeah.
It's nice. Does it give you satisfaction?
Yes, for sure.
And you don't get your name in the paper for doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the points.
Yeah.
But you're helping the team win.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So what comes easy to you on a basketball court?
My role was more this year, like I come off the bench and I like to shoot. I was more of a 3-point shooter this year. So actually that was part of me and Liv's pregame routine this year. We would go to shoot 360 at Cool Springs before every home game, and we would shoot at the machines to get our eye and get our confidence up before the games.
Nice.
So,
That's great. That's great. But so what's the biggest challenge for you on a basketball court? What's hard that you have to work on?
I'd probably say my ball handling, I think, is something that I used to struggle with. Not as much anymore, but definitely throughout AAU and high school, because in AAU I'd play the point guard most of the time, so I would really need to work on my ball handling, and that's definitely something that doesn't come as easy.
No, I mean, you got to work at it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot. And how about you, Grace?
yeah, I'm definitely not the point guard on the team. I'm more of I have other roles in the team. So, yeah, I set others up for shots and hustle and defense and like screens and things.
Yeah.
But
So what would you, if someone asks you, which I'm doing right now, what was the culture like playing for Upper St. Clair Girls Basketball? What was the culture like? How did you feel it was, Liv? Was it hard and tough or easygoing and laid back, or what was it like?
I would definitely say a mix of both, I think, for sure. I think it could definitely be hard at some times, depending who you're playing. I mean, some of the teams in the section weren't as good as other teams, for sure, but I definitely think it was probably right in the middle, because at some points you'd play a team and you'd beat them by like 35, and that was definitely an easier game. But then there's teams where it'd be tied the entire game, which would be definitely a lot harder for us.
Yeah. How about you, Grace?
Yeah, our team was so close this season that I feel like every moment was fun, and everyone on the team made every moment fun. And Coach Pete and Coach Susie were like such amazing coaches, and they always brought us up if we were feeling down. And even if we were losing or if we were winning by so much, the team just came together. And like Liv said, if we were up by a lot, the other girls on the team got to play more, and that also brought us together because we got to reward the players that were there for us when we were playing the close games. So it's nice to like see the team come together in moments like that too.
Cool. Liv, describe pregame in the locker room before you're playing, say, in a big game. What's the pregame like in that locker room?
We definitely have a speaker going, and we're trying to pump each other up and get all excited before the game, get all of the like nervousness out of us, and we just try to hype each other up before we go out there.
Is that how you saw it, Grace?
Yeah, definitely songs, TikToks, dancing.
So is it a dance party?
Yeah.
Yes, every time.
You know, it's funny because when Kara Kaler was here years and years and years ago, she said the same thing. It was like a dance party. So does that make you kind of like lose the stress a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's more about like, getting the nerves out and coming together as a team.
Is it nerve-wracking in the locker room before you go out to play a big game? How nerve-wracking is it, Liv?
Very nerve-wracking, yeah.
Yeah? In what way?
Well, when we're going over the like pregame plan and Coach Pete has his marker and his whiteboard and he's going over stuff with us, I'm definitely like sweating and like, you know, you're envisioning moments that are going to happen in the game, and it's definitely very stressful before we go out there. But that's why we have the music in there and we're all like talking to each other. We're trying to just like de-stress.
Was it nerve-wracking to you, Grace?
Yeah.
In what way?
I think in particular we're like when we're dancing and having fun, but then when Pete comes in and goes over the scouting report like right before when we go out and we like pray as a team, it's like when like reality sets in.
Yeah.
And it's like when you realize like you have like a job to get done.
Yeah, interesting. What would people maybe be surprised to know about you, Liv?
I'm ambidextrous, so I write with my left hand, but I shoot with my right hand, but I'm better at left-handed layups than right-hand layups.
There you go. That surprised me. Grace.
I think my only fun fact is that I've lived in England till I was 12.
Do people ask you about England?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Like, what's the food like?
I think it's good, but
What did you think of the food when you got here?
it actually took me quite a while to adjust to American food.
Really?
It did, yes. I wasn't like the portions are a lot bigger over here at first.
Yeah. Pittsburgh portions.
Yes, but I do love Pittsburgh food. I love Pittsburgh as well. We're very happy here.
Yeah, that's great. So what are you confident about in your life, whether it be personal or sports or whatever? What are you confident about yourself?
I think I'm confident in my people skills. So when I meet a new person, I feel like I'm always very friendly and can talk to them and very welcoming. So I think that's definitely going to be useful in the long run.
Where do you think you got that?
Definitely from my mom, I think.
That's what I was thinking. But, that's what I was thinking. And so how about you, Grace?
I don't know. I guess, yeah, I'm confident in when I meet people and that I'm nice to people and that I can talk to people.
Does that come from somewhere?
I guess, yeah, my mom too.
And you got good mothers.
Yes.
It's so good. But you had, I mean, high school at St. Clair is very hard because of the classes and the rigor. And then you're playing on like the best basketball team around with big pressure games that you're playing in. Is there any room for fun?
Yeah, there definitely is. We, especially our team, we always hung out every weekend. We made sure to hang out after every game. We really created like I feel like we had a nice dynamic this year. We were very close, and we prioritized like hanging out as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun this year.
What do you think, man?
I agree. And even though we have like practice most of the days and like or like a game, practices never exceeded 2 hours. And so you could always go do something after, do something before, go to work on like weekend nights. Like you could always get other things done, I think, for sure.
So, Grace, let's say this kid comes up to you and they're starting 9th grade at Upper St. Clair High School and they want to play basketball. And they're like, give me some advice. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to make sure they show up for everything and try their best. I think that it's important to just like give your full effort to everything and show that you're going to show up every day. I know that for me, I think one of the main reasons that I made the team, even if I wasn't the best player freshman year, was because I showed up to everything, like with a positive attitude. So
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
So important, so important. How about you, Liv?
I definitely agree with the positive attitude part, but I also think you need to be well prepared. So if you're coming into high school, you don't really practice basketball that much, I think you definitely need to start going out on your own, whether you just like dribble a ball every day, like get a ball in your hands, get some perfect shots in, like that's all you need to do. You just need to be prepared for what you're stepping into.
Yeah. Yeah. Grace, you had 2 coaches that are just have such great basketball backgrounds and abilities. I mean, really accomplished people. So what was it like playing, well, 4 coaches, but I mean the 2 top varsity coaches. What was it like playing for them?
Oh, it was such an honor to be coached by both of them, but particularly Coach Susie. Me and Coach Susie, we had a great relationship, and every day it was just such a blessing to be able to be coached under someone who's like so accomplished like she is.
What made your relationship with Coach Susie great?
She always believed in me, even if no one else did, or even if I didn't believe in myself, and she always advocated for me to be out there on the court.
I love that. That's so great.
Yeah, she was always my biggest fan.
It's got to make you feel so good.
Yes, it
and
did.
confident. And how about you, Liv? What's it like playing for Pete and Susie?
I agree. It was definitely such an honor. They both just care so much about the team, and they just really wanted to see us do well and succeed. And I know they both really wanted that WPIAL championship for us, and we finally got it.
Yeah, that's so great. So what made you decide in what college you're going to? What was your decision-making process?
Yeah, I was deciding. I knew I definitely wanted to go south when I was applying for colleges. Because? I really like the warm weather.
They have accents down there too.
They do, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, weather was a big factor for me, and I knew I wanted to go to a big school. And I'm studying international business, so I knew I went to the school with a big business program. And University of South Carolina had all those things.
It's great.
So, yeah.
My brother's alma mater, he played baseball there. And Liv, how about you? What was your thought process?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. South Carolina just kind of checked all the boxes. I definitely am like a beach girl, so I definitely wanted to go to a southern school. But even though South Carolina's not like right on the beach, it's very close. And also they have a great nursing program, and I'm studying nursing.
Oh, are you?
Yes, I am.
You want to be a nurse?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Well, what do you think, last question, what do you think you're going to miss about St. Clair and being here? What do you think you'll miss?
I think I'm going to miss the community most of all. I think everyone in Upper St. Clair is so friendly, and everyone cares about each other so much, like from the teachers to coaches to just like the people. It's such a great community, and I'm so glad that my family like brought me here.
That's wonderful. You crossed the pond and you had no idea what you're walking into.
Yes.
But coming to St. Clair, what a great decision, right? Mm-hmm. How about you, Liv?
I think it's just like the familiarity with everything here, because I've never lived anywhere else. So I know everyone here. I know my way around, and I'm definitely gonna miss knowing my way around places. That's gonna be a struggle.
Well, the University of South Carolina is a really great school. I've been there many times, and I want to congratulate you both on being an Olympial championship team, and you go all the way to the state final. And so I want to congratulate you with that, and I also want to wish you both the best of luck in your future.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Also joining us today is a senior captain on this WPL championship team from Upper St. Clair. Very decorated, awards all over the place. Riley Calicay. Riley, it's great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So you got a whole bunch of awards.
Yes.
And what does that feel like?
I appreciate it. I mean, I do know that I've worked really hard for these awards, so it's very nice to be appreciated. It's very honorable to know that all of my success is very recognized throughout all of Pennsylvania, all of Pittsburgh. The big thing is just I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the recognition and all the support.
Yeah. So let's talk about school. Like, how hard was it for you to go to this school?
I'd say it was hard, but growing up here and like living throughout this type of dynamic, I guess, like the challenge throughout my whole life, it's something I got used to. So it's challenging, but it's definitely something you adapt to and get used to.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a little brother, yes.
So you're the oldest of
Yes.
two.
Yes.
Okay. So when you started playing sports, like, what did you start playing?
I started with softball, actually. I was very dedicated up until going into high school, actually.
So you were a big softball player.
Yeah, I was actually a bigger softball player for the longest time. I took my family to San Diego on a free trip.
What position did you play?
I was shortstop.
Really?
Yes,
And where'd you bat in the order?
third.
Okay. Okay. So that's
Clean up.
two important spots right there. So how do you make this turn to basketball if you have the accomplishments on the softball field?
It just came down to the intensity of the sport. Softball's a lot slower of a sport, and I've always been super on the go as fast as I can, and softball's a little harder to do that. You need a little bit more patience. And I was fine with that at the time, but I just knew that wasn't something that I wanted to play, because I knew I wanted to play sports in college and possibly professionally, so that's not something I wanted to continue on with.
But were you just playing softball or did you play other sports?
I also played soccer and I played volleyball, in addition to also playing basketball throughout that
So
time.
you had it all going on.
And I also actually golfed too. I was a really big golfer.
Really?
Yeah.
And what made the decision to go back? Did you then just go just basketball?
Up until this year, yeah. I played golf this year too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
You know, I once had a guy, a kid from Mount Lebanon, they won a championship in basketball, but he also golfed. So I asked him this question. I'm going to ask you the same thing. What was more pressure, golfing or playing basketball?
Honestly, golfing. I don't feel much pressure with basketball because it's something that's pretty natural for me. But like golfing and like being so individual, like that was a little bit more pressure for me.
He said the exact same thing.
Really?
So it's like golf is like, it's just you.
Yeah.
And there's very minimal room for error.
Yes.
Do you watch golf?
Yeah, I do. Me and my dad do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough sport,
Absolutely.
but you like it.
Yes, and there's small room for error. But
So wait, you played for St. Clair's team?
yes, I did.
And so what was that like?
It was a lot of fun. I actually played because I couldn't participate in any of our preseason stuff because I was still going through my recovery. Because I got my surgery in the end of January, and preseason starts in like the summer going into early fall, and that was golf season. So while I was finishing up my last little bit of rehab, since I couldn't do contact in basketball, or even at the beginning of it, I really couldn't do much with workouts in general, I decided to pick up golf, and because I've always played for fun throughout my life, and I made the team, and I used it kind of as PT, because it was a lot of walking, a lot of like carrying my bag on my back, like you don't get a golf cart or anything. So walking around with my bag and going up and down hills, like that was really great PT for me, and my PT himself actually was very encouraging of it.
That's nice. And so you're saying that you wanted to go to something that was a little more fast-paced, a little more intense. Is that what you said? Like as far as a sport that you wanted to play? Like you're playing a slower softball. Softball's
Yeah.
slower.
Yes.
But you gravitated towards basketball because of the pace.
Yes.
Does that mean that you're saying that you're like an intense player on the court?
Yeah.
And that helps you?
Yeah. Some people say I play like a boy. And that's actually a compliment to me.
I think it's a great compliment.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of the teams that have won state championships when girls, I think a lot of them are told that.
Yes.
You know, it's just aggressiveness. It's basically, I think it just boils down to aggressiveness.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with passion too. I think that boys can be a little bit more competitive with sports sometimes. And like, that's where they'll get that like extra little drive.
Where do you get your extra little drive?
I just don't like to lose. I don't like to have anybody above me. I don't like to lose. So if I see that potential of there might be somebody better than me, then you'll catch me out on a court for 4 hours getting better.
Where do you think that drive comes from?
Both my mom and my dad. It's very different. My dad played basketball throughout his whole life. He played basketball in college. He played at W&J, but I mean, he had that passion going throughout him. But now my mom, on the other hand, like with her work, she's worked her way from living in a trailer park to being an executive administrator at UPMC. She doesn't like to have people ahead of her.
Say what?
Yeah. She grew up literally like she lived in a trailer with her brother, or 2 brothers and my grandparents. And she moved to St. Clair with my dad, and they started a family, and from there on out, she was just so driven. And I mean, she's literally she has 2 people ahead of her at UPMC. She's one of the most powerful people in the hospital.
We might have to have her come in.
Absolutely. I'd
Okay.
bring her on anytime. She deserves it.
You would?
Absolutely.
We just might have to do that, Riley.
She deserves it.
I mean, that's big. Like, UPMC is the behemoth of healthcare in
Absolutely.
this area, and you're saying she's right at the top.
Yes, she is. She's the executive administrator.
Respect?
I have more than that for her.
Respect?
Yes.
I'm giving it 2. So that's awesome. So your parents are great. It sounds like they're pretty great role models
Yes.
for you. And do you think that they had much influence on you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They always told me.
In what way?
Yeah, they always told me and my brother that we don't have to play sports, we don't have to do anything like that, but whatever we decide to do with our life, we're going to be dedicated to it. And that's exactly what we both have done. And I mean, I've chose to push myself both academically and athletically, and so has my brother, and that's just the way we've both been raised.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So, you know, Coach Serio was going to retire last year. And you heard that. So what did you think about that when you heard he was going to retire before your senior year?
Yeah, so I mean, what kind of drove me to have quite a few conversations with him was I believe personally that we should have won the Whitfield Championship my freshman and sophomore year. If I would have had my junior season, I promise you we would have won that. So he didn't get to leave with a Whitfield Championship from me. And I knew going into playing in high school that I was going to win at least one. And I mean, I should have won more than one, but whatever. I had some downfalls. So him trying to back out when I still had one more year.
So what did you say to him?
I told him that he's put too much time and effort into this group of girls for him to go out without a gold medal around his neck. I told him that we all loved and cared about him more than just a coach. We all looked at him as family, and I, to this day, still believe that. And we all wanted to win, not just for us, but for him too. So for him to go, and I mean, we wouldn't have trusted another coach any way we would have trusted him. I mean, even if we would have just switched up our staff a little bit that we had now, like, it would not have been the same. Like, we all wanted it not just for us, but for him as well.
It's awesome. And so he went with it.
Absolutely. And when he came back, I told him the same thing. I told him, I promise we're going to win. And he was like, I'm going to hold you to it.
So when you won, what was that moment like for you?
It was incredible. I mean, it was it kind of felt surreal in the moment because it was like we've been there so many times, but we've always gotten the short end of it. I mean, we were there my freshman year, we were there my sophomore year, junior year I didn't get to play, and then we're there again my senior year. But the other times we've been on that court, we didn't win. And then this time we did, but it was most of the team's last time on playing together, or other than states, of course, but playing together in the Whitfield, like that was just, and we knew that it was going to be Coach Pete's last year as well. So it was just kind of one of our last hurrahs, and we went down on top.
So you had a chance to tell him right there at that moment.
I said to him, I told you so.
That sounds like such a sweet moment.
It's like straight out of a movie. It was weird. I
Yeah.
had like chills talking about it.
I know. I'm feeling it too. I love that. I love the story. That's why I like doing this, because I hear stories like this that are just magical, and that sounds magical.
Yeah, it was.
And you were part of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
So I know that you're so driven from a intense, and you want to win, and you're driven, and I love that, and all the coaches will love that about you. But what else besides that? What else did you enjoy about playing for these teams over these years? What did you like about it?
Well, this year in particular was very special because we were more of a family than any other year, but I've really created some of my deepest friendships throughout this. I mean, from my freshman year to this year, I've become super close with a lot of the girls. Some of them have already graduated, one of which I'm actually leaving behind. But these are just some of the biggest connections I've built, even with Coach Pete and Coach Susie. They're some of the greatest connections I've ever built.
I think they could be lifelong friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's special.
Of course.
Very special. So what comes easiest for you in school?
I'm math and social studies. So you'll hear people are like math and science or English and social studies. I'm math and social studies.
Okay. Yeah, so I think social studies is super interesting.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I actually think I'm kind of similar because math comes easy, but I love social studies.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
kind of a cool combination.
Yes.
But what comes easy for you on a basketball court?
Leadership.
And how does your leadership translate to this team? How does it come across?
I mean, I would like to say that my attitude and my mindset going into the game influences a lot of other people's mindsets and attitudes.
And what is that mindset and attitude?
We're not going down without a fight. We're going in there 100% every game. And if we start going down, we're going to pick each other up.
It's great. And that comes from your parents.
Absolutely.
That's so good. I love hearing this. It's really great. So what's the pregame like for you? Like, you're driven, you're intense, and now you're sitting in the locker room and the game's getting ready to go, in some big games. You played in some big games.
Yeah.
And so what's it like? How nerve-wracking was it for you?
I mean, I embrace a challenge. I don't necessarily consider myself a nervous person. I mean, the only game I would really say I've ever been nervous for was the Whitfield Championship, but that was just because I was nervous because of how many times we've been there. But playing-wise, I mean, I don't necessarily get nervous. I just use it as more momentum. Like, the bigger the challenge, the more momentum I have going into the game.
I love it. I love it. That's terrific. That's terrific. What would people be most surprised to know about you?
Ooh. Probably the fact that I was more dedicated to softball. Like, most of my life, I've been dedicated to softball, and I mean, it's really just been, now don't get me wrong, going into AAU pretty intensely as soon as I was in 4th grade. Now that AAU basketball, since I was in 4th grade, that's pretty intense. But even throughout that time, like really up until 7th grade, I mean, 8th grade I leaned off it, but 7th grade I was still pretty dedicated to softball.
Yeah, so that would be surprising.
Yeah.
That surprised me, I
Yeah.
can tell you. Is there peer pressure in Upper St. Clair?
I don't think so, because I think that everybody kind of picks and chooses who they want to surround themselves with. And I mean, it's a very diverse culture. I mean, we have very different groups of friends, different groups of people, but that's, you choose where you want to go. So nobody really will try to pull you in or push you out even. It's just more where you're comfortable, where you flow is where you go.
Yeah. So what teachers stand out to you that you've had?
So, believe it or not, one of my favorite teachers that I've ever had is Brian Bennett, and he is the South Fayette Girls Basketball coach. Yes.
And so what did he teach?
He was one of my math teachers. He was my Algebra 2 teacher. But I mean, we just connected very well. And my other closest teacher was Mrs. Alloway, Emily Alloway. She was also one of my math teachers. She was my function, stats, and trigonometry teacher. And I actually helped coach her daughter's basketball team with her.
Did you? This year?
A little bit this year, a little bit last year, yeah. She would email me or see me in school and ask me to come up and help with her daughter's team, and I would be there every time.
I know her really well.
Really?
Really well.
She's one of my favorite people in the school.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but she is connected to Dick DiVenzio, and there's only 12 parade All-Americans in the history of boys basketball in Western Pennsylvania, and he's one of them.
Really?
And so has run basketball royalty.
Oh, absolutely,
And so we had Dick DiVenzio's brother come in here one day. His name's Dave, and he had all these stories. And she came down after school, and she was sitting there. So I brought her up, and we did 45 minutes with her. And I didn't even have a question prepared. We just started talking. And I just thought, she's terrific.
She's a great person, inside and out. She's just...
What do you think makes her like that?
She's real. And I really don't know how to explain that other than she will give you an honest answer. She will always be honest with you. She sees things the way that they are. She doesn't try to change them. She's real. She's straight up. And she's just a great person to create a great relationship with.
It's awesome. How do you think you needed to be coached? Did you want to be coached hard? Did you want a lot of praise? I mean, what did you want?
The harder I was coached, the more I respected the coach. Now, I've had coaches growing up that were kind of light, almost like they just would coach the team. And I mean, my hardest coach I've ever had was one of my AAU coaches, Rob Shazer. And I mean, he would sit us down. I mean, Liv was on my team at the time too. He would sit a bunch of fourth graders down and scream and swear in their face and push them to be whatever. And you know what we did? We won national tournaments as fourth graders. And then going into high school, I had Coach Pete and Coach Susie, and they wouldn't let me perform under what I should be performing. And they held me to a standard, and if I wasn't being held to that standard, they'd pull me. And that's the way I think that everybody should be coached, because if you're not held to a standard, you're not pushing yourself.
Do you think they knew you wanted to be coached like that?
Yes. I mean, they've been coming to my games since I was in fourth grade. They would come to my fourth grade travel games, and they would see the way my dad was that's elementary school still. My dad was my fourth grade travel coach, and so was Liv's dad. And they were two of the most intense coaches you'll ever have. We would do like 30-minute conditioning in fourth grade with those two. Yeah, it was crazy. It was intense. But that was just always the way I've been grown up, and we would hold ourselves to a standard, and they wouldn't let us underperform.
So you can take it.
I would prefer it.
You prefer hard coaching?
Yeah, I think when coaches are soft on you, they don't believe in you.
I don't hear this all the time, Riley.
I think if coaches are soft, then they don't see the potential in you.
Man, that's some cool stuff. Now, you were very decorated. You've won all kinds of awards on this team. How many schools recruited you?
I had around 22 Division I offers, and then losing my junior year, I had about 15 Power 5 connections that I kind of lost contact with because I didn't have a season, which is very understandable. But so I would say I had about 37 Division I interests.
So What's that smaller list that you were kind of going towards that eventually led to your decision? Who was on that shorter list?
My top 4 were Kent State, of course, the University of Buffalo, Colgate University, and Duquesne University.
And what made you decide Kent State?
It's a family. It truly is. Everybody is wanting the best for each other. The coaches are so dedicated. They're so loyal to their team. It's a fantastic team. I mean, they've won the MAC multiple years. They've been March Madness. It's super competitive. Everybody wants to be better. Also, nobody leaves. And that's not something you see very often anymore with the transfer portal. Now, there's other schools that were in my top 5, they're in my top 4, that now have one of the highest transfer rates. And I didn't know that. I had no idea, because obviously the coaches aren't going to tell you that. But now being committed and stuff, like, you see things that go on, and it's just kind of crazy. And I'm so lucky. I'm so grateful that I chose Kent State.
Well, what a great school to go to.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's wonderful. I bet your parents have to be so proud of you.
Yeah, they are.
Well, I've just enjoyed our time together. You know, I've known about you and I've seen you play, and it's really a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
And this school, to play at this school and put a banner up for Coach Pete and your girls' team. I mean, that's pretty special.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what a great way to leave St. Clair.
100%.
It's like you left them a gift.
Yes.
It's
yes.
wonderful. So I'm so glad you could come in and spend some time with me.
Oh, I'm so glad I could be here.
And I congratulate you on everything you've done, and I have the best wishes for you in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate that
You're
a lot.
welcome. And our final 2 guests of the show today, 2 more seniors of this WPIAL Championship Upper St. Clair girls basketball team. We have Meredith Hujak and we have Claire Rosenberry. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start with Meredith. Meredith, I hear that you're all, besides winning the gold and going to the state final and being on this super successful basketball team, I hear you're the valedictorian.
One of the valedictorians at our school, yeah.
And how many?
I think there's like 22 this year or something.
So Upper St. Clair is known as one of the hardest schools in the state. And so you are a valedictorian. So can I fuss on you a little bit? Is that okay?
It's fine.
Okay. So to be a valedictorian at Upper St. Clair, I just have such respect for that because it's not easy. How did you do that, Meredith?
Thank you. I don't know. I've always been like really driven academically. It's just always been important to me and my family, and my sisters, my older sisters, were also very smart girls and really set a high bar for me. Yeah, it was hard, but it was fun.
How many kids in your family?
I have 3 sisters.
And so they're all older?
I have 2 older and 1 younger.
And so they set the bar high?
Yeah.
And so you really felt you had to really get into the academics?
Yeah, but I wanted to.
Was it straight A's?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that at St. Clair? Seriously, how do you do that? It's a really hard school.
It is, yeah. I just, you know, you listen in class, you make sure to get your stuff done on time, study well. I don't even have the best habits. Like, I'm a procrastinator, but I don't know.
I think it's great. So I just want to tell you how much I respect you for that.
Thank you very much.
I don't think academic people get the notoriety, and I think you should. I really do. So that's really terrific. Claire, how was school for you? How did you find Upper St. Clair as a school for you?
I think it's a really good community. The school's really fun. Our schedule this year, especially being seniors, it's a little more lenient. I think Liv talked about that earlier, how some of us go in late, come in early. But yeah, everyone, it's a super nice community. I think all the teachers are always super helpful. They're always like hoping for your best.
Yeah.
They want to see you succeed.
What was the easier parts of school for you?
I took some easier classes. Like when I take an academic class instead of like an honors level class, those were usually easier.
And what were the ones that posed you the biggest challenge?
I'm not very good at math. So I'm not very good at math, and then I took physics junior year, which is a lot of math too.
Pretty hard, isn't it?
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
one of my harder classes.
So Meredith, like, what do you think comes easier for you academically than otherwise?
Definitely math and science. I just feel like I can learn those a lot quicker. And English is not, I mean, it's fine, but it's just not my favorite thing to do. And same with like history and stuff. I'm just better at math and science, and I enjoy learning about math and science.
But how about writing? I mean, a lot of times people say you're either math or English. Was English more of a challenge for you?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't have much, like I'm not a great writer. I don't enjoy it as much, which I think if I enjoyed it more, I could be better at it, but yeah, not my best subject, but.
Well, Claire, so who's some teachers that stand out to you?
My English teacher this year, super helpful. I feel like
What's her name?
Mrs. Moeller.
Mrs. Moeller.
Yeah, every teacher I've had is always just wants to see you do well. So anytime you go and ask them for help, they'll always have your back.
But why do you say Mrs. Moeller?
Well, I think English is also one of my favorite subjects, so that helps. But yeah, she's just super helpful.
I think being an English teacher is hard because they grade all those papers.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So respect to Mrs. Moeller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Meredith?
I think one of the most influential teachers for me was my chemistry teacher, Mrs. Marks. She taught me AP chemistry and organic chemistry the past 2 years. I've had it for 2 years. And I see a lot of I want to be more like her. Like, she had an awesome job in the STEM field, and she's just so smart. She's an awesome teacher.
Is organic chemistry the hardest class at St. Clair High School?
No.
What is the
They
hardest?
make it, the content is very challenging. So they make the class a little bit easier. You know, we have open note tests. And so it's probably one of the hardest, like, content learning wise, but the hardest classes at our school are probably AP chemistry and AP physics C.
Did you take that?
I took AP chemistry. I didn't take AP physics.
How hard was that?
It was very hard. It was very hard, and it's a really big time dedication. Like, it's twice as long as every other class at the high school. But once again, my teacher, she was amazing, and she got me through it.
So Claire, how do you juggle academics and sports? How do you juggle that time?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot at times. I feel like especially when you're driving to Hempfield an hour away, you don't get home till 10. It can be a lot of homework, but we have time built in throughout our school day. We have like a 35-minute period in the middle of our day, just we can ask teachers for help or do your homework or get anything done that you need to. I feel like that's really helpful.
Yeah, well, I mean, with you going to the 5.0 and then you're on this championship basketball team, was time management a challenge for you, Meredith?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I basically play sport all year round for high school. So I think I've just kind of made it part of my habits, and my mind works where, like, I need to get an assignment done. Even if it takes me until 3 a.m. If I get back from a basketball game at 11, I still get the assignment done. It's just how, like, my brain chemistry works. So.
But you said your habits, you said you didn't say you had good habits. Did you say that?
Well, not the best. It's like I procrastinate a lot. That's a bad habit of mine, but no matter what, I will get it done on time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, obviously, if you're at a 5.0, you did get it done. So it's fascinating to hear this from my standpoint. So besides winning this basketball championship, I mean, we know winning is great. So what were some of the high moments for you this year that you can think about? What did you really enjoy Everyone loves to win and get the gold medal, but what else did you enjoy?
I think our whole season was a lot of fun, but I think, especially in the postseason, I think it was talked about earlier too. Once playoffs started, whether it was WPIAL playoffs or state playoffs, we really bonded as a team. We hung out a lot more often, hung out a lot after practices, after most of our games on Friday nights. And I think that was one of my highs. I feel like those were always good times, and those were the memories that we'll have for forever.
But was there hard moments that you can point to?
There were definitely hard moments, like
what were they?
when the regular season ended, we had about 2 weeks straight of practice before our first playoff game. And I think that was a big mental battle trying to stay focused on the goal.
Stay sharp.
Yeah, but even then, those lows were still fun. I feel like the team still really bonded those times.
Yeah. Meredith, how about you? What were the the high moments for you?
Definitely, winning the WPIAL was amazing. Of course, that's a basic answer. But spending time with my team, just feeling this and most of us, I think, other than Riley, none of us are playing basketball in college. So having this much success and being the closest we've ever been in our last year, it was just awesome.
Yeah, I'll bet. What was hard for you? What were some hard times during this season?
I think just the length of this. It's a very long season. I play soccer, and the time is very different. So you have to be really committed and want to be there every day. And I think we went on a little losing streak. Every team has challenges, of course, but just getting through it and the success really made it all worth it.
What other sports do you play?
I play soccer and flag football.
And so is flag football just an intramural, or do you go play other schools?
So we play other schools. Right now it's just a club sport at our school, but it just got sanctioned to be a real varsity sport next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How fun is that?
It's a really fun sport. I wish it had more publicity. I played a part in starting it at my school because me and my dad, and it's just been so fun, and I really hope that it grows, especially being a real sport in the future.
What position do you play?
Receiver.
So you go up and get the ball?
Yeah.
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 Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other sports did you play, Claire, as you were growing up?
I played golf for my first 3 years of high school.
Golf?
Yeah, which was a lot of fun. It was definitely a mental battle too, but I played a lot with my dad growing up, so he kind of got me into it.
What's it like to play golf at Upper St. Clair?
It's definitely, it was tough at times, but I feel like there's different levels to it, depending on who you're playing too. Some matches could be more fun compared to others.
What's the team camaraderie in golf compared to basketball?
It's a lot more individual, which I don't think I liked as much, which I feel like the big thing for basketball I push to be better, to help my team out, or golf you're kind of just playing for yourself.
Where'd you find more pressure? Golfing or playing basketball?
Golf was a bigger mental game because I feel like with golf, or at least with basketball, if you're not playing well, you can try harder or hustle back on defense. But golf, you couldn't really. I feel like if you were having an off day, you couldn't really do anything else.
But Claire, you played in the WPL championship game.
Yeah.
You played in the state championship
Yeah.
game, and you're still saying golf was harder?
Golf was a different mental battle. Once you were in basketball, I feel like once the game started after tip off, you kind of got into your flow.
Yeah.
But
when you're playing in front of all those people, what's that like?
it's definitely scary at first.
Is it?
Before the state championship game, I was really nervous. But once it starts, I feel like you kind of forget about everything else and you just focus on your one goal.
Meredith, how did you handle the crowds and the pressure?
I think it's so nerve-wracking before the whistle blows, just looking around, and it's very stressful. But once the whistle blows, you tune everything out. Not even purposefully, it just happens. You're so locked in on the game, you don't even realize really the crowd.
Yeah, but you played in some big venues with some big stakes on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And that must have been really exciting.
Definitely.
Along with some nerve-wrackingness,
Yeah.
I would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what a great experience to have as you move forward, you know, you have, say, if you have families, you can tell your kids, oh, well, I played in the state championship game.
Yeah.
Whip you all, it's awesome. And so, so who would you say is your biggest influences for you as a person and as a basketball player? It could be different people, but who would you say?
I think for basketball, for me, my brother, he was older than me, and he played. I was just always trying to. We play outside a lot, play basketball outside a lot, and he would always beat me in 1v1. He's a lot bigger than me, but
But he made you better.
right. And I feel like he pushed me to be the player that I became.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did he play?
He played. Yeah, he played basketball, football, and he played volleyball. So he was pretty athletic.
So he took his little sister out in the backyard and beat you up, but then
Yeah.
you end up beating other people up.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, does he think that he had a little part to play in that?
I don't like to tell him that he does.
Well, we'll keep it.
But-
We'll keep it a
right.
secret. It's just between us. But how about that's as a basketball player? How about as a person, a young lady?
I think my mom is a big influence on me.
How so?
She just the way she like at her every day. She works really hard, and I feel like yeah, she works really hard, and she kind of pushes me. She pushes me to be harder.
Does she work outside the home?
She does. Yeah, she's a realtor now, but for a while she was kind of just. She did a lot. She had a lot of balancing to do between driving me and my brother to practices, picking us up from school.
That's a hard business, so she has to really work hard.
Right. Balancing all the extracurriculars was probably a lot.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Meredith, how about you? So let's just start with a basketball player. Who was your role? Who was your influence as to be the basketball player that you become?
I think definitely my dad. He was he was my coach for the longest time. He coached my middle school travel team from like 4th to 8th grade or something. So not only was he actually my coach, but you know, he just always rooted for me so much, and you know, time in the backyard spent. You know, he cares so much about my success.
And then, so how about the person that you are? Who's your biggest influence there?
I think, different parts of me, I think my entire family. Like, you know, my sisters make me part of who I am, my mom for sure, my dad. I can't even single out one person, but definitely my family.
Well, you got a good family.
Yes,
like
I
what
do.
you're doing, you know, like this is a good the Hoosiaks, right? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Yes. Interesting. So interesting. So like, what would you say to a 9th grader that comes into St. Clair and they say, okay, we're going to send Claire over to talk to you, and they want to be a student, successful, and a basketball player? What would you tell them?
I'd tell them to work hard. I feel like it seems like a lot, especially going in as a freshman. I feel like I know I was so scared before my first summer gym practice for basketball, but I feel like you kind of just have to just be who you are as a player and as a person. Like you can't try to change who you are for other people.
Yeah, that's nice. What are your thoughts, Meredith?
I think definitely finding the right people to motivate you, and just focusing on, you know, you make such good relationships and such good memories. Just persevere through the hard times, and, you know, play the sport you want to play. Take the hard classes. Just be motivated, because the success is worth it in the end.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think you want to be when you grow up?
I have no idea. I'm
You don't
planning.
have to know, but I was just curious.
I'm going to Michigan State to study business, and that's kind of all I've got. It's the farthest
What
I've gone.
made you go to Michigan State?
My brother actually goes there, so I've visited a lot through him through the past 4 years, 3 years that he's been there. But I feel like I'm comfortable with it now too, especially with how much I've been there, and it's nice to have someone like a familiar face there.
Claire, my favorite color's green. So you're going to get some green stuff
Oh
up
yeah,
there,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I already have a lot.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's my favorite color. Meredith, how about you? What do you think you want to be when you grow up?
Some sort of engineer. I'm studying engineering at Wake Forest, so, you know, we'll see where that takes me. I have a lot of interests stemming from biomedical engineering, so we'll see where it takes me.
Well, I'll just say this, Meredith. My daughter, who was a very high achieving academic student in Mount Lebanon. Wasn't the valedictorian, but was like right in the neighborhood. And so she didn't know what to do. So I said, why don't you just be an engineer? And she said, what's that? I said, well, let's just look at it. And she looked at all the ones, and she decided to pick biomedical engineering. And she went to Penn State. And then she called me up on her senior year and said, Dad, if I go one more year, I can be a mechanical engineering and a biomedical engineer. And so I said, let's do it. And so she walked out of there with 2 engineer degrees in 5 years. And I'm just saying, Meredith, it will be worth it. If you do this, it will be worth it.
Yeah,
Because
thank you.
she's very successful.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm proud of her, but like it's just a great thing to go. It's hard. A lot of physics.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, one of the first things, and I'll just say this, I know, but it's a little off, but it doesn't matter. She walks into the first class, and the professor says, look around, everybody. Look around. This is Penn State. And they go, why are you saying that? He goes, because less than half of you will be here next year. Because it's hard. But you do hard. You can do hard. You can do hard. You're Upper St. Clair, right? So you guys are ready for college,
Yeah.
both of you. So that's great. So I just wanted to let you know that little
Yeah,
story.
thank you.
But anyway, do you feel there's peer pressure in St. Clair?
I don't think so, no. I think there's definitely pressure. I think it's the same pressure that would come with a lot of schools because of how highly, how good of a school Upper St. Clair is. I feel like it's similar to, but depending on who you are as a student, I feel like it doesn't always affect everyone.
Yeah. Did any of it ever affect you, Meredith? Or do
Yeah,
you see it at all?
I think if you want there to be pressure, like there can be, like there's good pressure. You know, I like peer pressure kind of has a negative connotation sometimes, but I think the pressure is good. Like I like having friends who can motivate. I always want to do, you know, better on the test than my friend. You know, it's just like silly pressure that can motivate you to be a better student.
So what I'm hearing is there's positive peer pressure at St. Clair.
For sure.
And that's great.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of other peer pressure in other places that's not so great. And so this is good stuff. And you can get kind of caught up into this wave of achievement, which you both have, and it's wonderful. And I'm glad for you. So what do you think when you were coached, okay, and we had a really great chance to talk to your coach, when they coached you, what worked for you and how they handled you? What worked for you the way they coached you?
I think I was always taught growing up that yelling is caring, which is kind of like a weird way to put it. But
The mic just dropped.
Right.
I've been doing this a long time. Let's just go back to that. Yelling is caring. And so who taught you that?
that's what my dad always said to me growing up. Anytime I'd come home and complain about something, it's always yelling is caring.
You know, that's called old school. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great old school value to have.
Yeah,
So like
definitely.
that prepared you. So when you got yelled at, it didn't affect you, right?
Because if they weren't yelling at me, then they probably didn't see
They
any
cared about
potential.
you.
So yeah.
That's what a great thing for your dad to tell you. That's so good. And I'm sure it served you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And how would you answer that?
Yeah, I personally, I like to have like close relationships with my coaches. I think, of course, Coach P, he cared so much for us, and I'm so glad that he was there for our senior year. But it's just awesome to know when people believe in you and have your backs, like even if you don't play the first couple of years or whatever. They're great coaches. I've always had good coaches.
You know, I think there's a lot of elements to a great coach, but I think two of the real cores of it is, does the player feel that the coach cares about you? That's number one. And the second one is, does the player feel that the coach believes in you? So do you think you've had that here?
Definitely. Yeah. I think they're all our coaches. like our whole coaching staff, we solved that a lot.
That's magic. Like that's at the core of really good coaching.
Yeah.
And plus, they knew what they were talking about. So that's wonderful too. So I mean, you know, I think you were very fortunate
Very,
sure.
to
yeah.
have them.
For sure.
And now you're around a group of girls that were highly decorated, and you finally win the championship. I mean, what did that feel like when you got to that point? What did that feel like?
It felt so good. It didn't feel real. I feel like, especially because our freshman and sophomore year, we went to the Whitfield Championship. We didn't play, but we saw it, and we saw the heartbreak when you lose, and it's awful. So I think we knew that we didn't want to do that again.
No. Well, how did you feel, Meredith?
Yeah, I think Claire's right, like especially after losing twice, and you know, our junior year was a little different without Riley, but it felt really, we always had the expectation that we were going to get there, and then we were there, and there was pressure to win, but it paid off so much. And I mean, I believed in us, of course, but I never even thought we'd get to the state championship. Like our freshman sophomore year, we didn't do that, so that felt different. That was so cool.
That is
and
different.
Winning the Whitfield Championship, and even coming in second in the state, will always be, you know, a memory forever, and tell our families in the future.
Absolutely. So Michigan State, Wake Forest, two great schools. I'm really happy for you. I mean, I think you're probably not sure what you're walking into. You haven't been to college, but it's really a pretty great situation to walk into, and I think you're going to love it. I think both of you are really prepared, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so anyway, I want to just congratulate you on winning the Whitfield Championship. And they're going to put a banner up in the gym, and you guys are part of that. That's going to feel great.
Yeah,
Thank
it does.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, and I want to congratulate you, but I also want to wish you both the best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I thank you both for coming and joining
Yeah,
us today.
thanks for having
us.
And I want to thank you for watching. Please join us for another edition of One on One. I'm your host, Lee Adams. Take care of yourself.